For more than 50 years, the Soviet-designed T-55 has formed the backbone of Peru's armored force. It entered Peruvian service during the 1970s when its armor, firepower, and mobility made it one of the most capable tanks in South America. That era, though, is coming to an end. Peru is moving forward with a plan to acquire 150 K2 Black Panther main battle tanks from South Korea's Hyundai Rotem. The first 46 will be manufactured in South Korea and once a new production facility is operational in Peru, the remaining 104 will be manufactured there. The decision follows years of technical study, industrial negotiations, and previous attempts to replace Peru's aging tanks. It also represents a major change in how Peru approaches defense procurement. The country is acquiring a modern tank and developing the ability to manufacture, maintain, and support most of the fleet at home. Here is how the K2 was selected, what placed it ahead of other candidates, and how Peru plans to build 104 Black Panthers on its own soil. Peru purchased more than 300 T-55s during the 1970s and also operated French AMX-13 light tanks. These vehicles gave the Army a powerful armored force for their time. Since then, decades of technological development have gradually moved the T-55 into obsolescence. Today's battlefield depends much more on thermal optics, digital communications, modern fire control systems, advanced armor, active protection systems, and the ability to share information across a larger combat network. The T-55 was designed long before those systems existed. Peru began exploring replacements years ago. China's MBT-2000 appeared close to an order in 2009. That order ended without a fleet purchase. A new round of evaluations followed during the early 2010s, drawing proposals including Russia's T-90S, Ukraine's T-84, the American M1A1 Abrams, and several Leopard 2 variants. That process also concluded without a major acquisition. Those experiences shaped the current program. The Army needed a tank with a dependable production timeline, long-term financing, training, spare parts, technical support, and a clear path towards domestic industrial participation. South Korea's position grew through a broader relationship with Peru's defense industry. Peru's state-owned Army Weapons and Ammunition Factory, also known as FAME, or FAME, whatever, it had already begun working with Korean companies on armored vehicles. Hyundai Rotem's K808 White Tiger was selected for an initial wheeled vehicle requirement, accompanied by plans for local assembly, training, and technical support. The K808 program gave both sides practical experience working together. FAME gained familiarity with the Korean vehicle technology and industrial processes. Hyundai Rotem gained a local partner capable of supporting a much larger armored vehicle program. On November 16, 2024, Hyundai Rotem and FAME signed a general cooperation agreement for ground equipment. The document established a path for negotiations involving K2 Black Panthers, wheeled vehicles, logistics, training, and industrial cooperation. The agreement placed the K2 at the center of the long-term modernization plan and prepared the way for physical demonstration of the vehicle inside of Peru. A K2 Black Panther arrived at the port of Callao on March of 2025 alongside a K-877 command vehicle. The tank then appeared at SITDEF 2025 in Lima, where Peruvian officials, soldiers, defense industry reps could examine the vehicle directly. The Army's Technical Operational Study Committee, also known by its Spanish initials CETO, C-E-T-O, evaluated proposals from 6 countries against Peru's operational requirements. Public reporting identified South Korea's K2, Germany's Leopard 2A6, and both the M1A1 and the M1A2 Abrams, as well as China's VT-4 among principal candidates. Polish and Turkish proposals were also included in this study, with fewer publicly available details about their configurations available. C2 examined the complete package associated with each candidate. The study included mobility, firepower, protection, operating costs, logistics, financing, training, technology transfer, and domestic production. The detailed scoring remains unpublished, and the reporting on the committee's finding consistently places the K2 at the top of the evaluation. On December 9, 2025, Hyundai Rotem, the Peruvian Army, and FAME signed a framework agreement covering 54 K2 tanks and 141 K808 wheeled armored vehicles. The agreement established the opening structure for what could become South Korea's largest ground equipment export program in Latin America. Peru's complete K2 requirement has since been redefined as 150 tanks planned through phases approximately through the year 2040. The production roadmap divides the fleet into two groups. Hyundai Rotem will manufacture the first 46 tanks in South Korea. These vehicles will allow the Peruvian Army to begin fielding and training crews, preparing maintainers, developing operational procedures, supply chains, things like that. The remaining 104 tanks will be manufactured in Peru after the domestic facility is ready. The transition will require trained workers, specialized tooling, qualified suppliers, certified production processes, and a system for inspecting and testing completed vehicles. This phased approach allows operational fielding and industrial development to advance together. In late July of 2026, reports stated that C2 had completed its formal evaluation and formally recommended the K2 as the tank that best met the Army's requirements. The recommendation aligned with the Army's technical study, with the industrial framework already taking shape between Peru and South Korea. Geography played a major role in this selection. Peru's armored forces operate across coastal desert, broken mountain terrain, and high-altitude regions. These environments placed heavy demands on engines, suspensions, transportation networks, and the crews. The K2 has a combat weight of approximately 56 metric tons and a 1,500 horsepower diesel engine. Hyundai Rotem lists the top speed of 70 kilometers per hour on roads, 50 kilometers an hour off-road, and an operating range of about 450 kilometers. Its hydropneumatic suspension gives the crew direct control over the tank's height and posture. The K2 can raise itself for additional ground clearance, lower its profile, lean side to side, hit switches, kneel forward or backwards. This helps the tank cross rough terrain and gives the main gun greater elevation and depression when firing from uneven positions or down valleys. The K2's weight also supports movement across infrastructure that may impose greater limits on heavier vehicles like Abrams's. At 56 tons, it delivers the main battle tank capability with a strong power-to-weight ratio and manageable dimensions for strategic movement. The K2 is armed with the 120mm smoothbore L55 patterned gun. It's got an autoloader that feeds the main gun and allows the tank to operate with a 3-person crew, consisting of the commander, the gunner, and the driver. The K2 has modern optics, including a muzzle reference system to recalibrate the main gun after firing several rounds, creating thermal expansion of the gun leading to gun tube droop, as well as the hunter killer capability similar to what's on the CITV with the M1A2 Abrams. Protection comes from composite armor, reactive armor, automatic fire suppression, or AFs, smoke launchers, and electronic defensive systems. Hyundai Rotem also offers a soft kill and hard kill active protection option. Peru's implementation contracts, however, will define exactly what equipment is finalized when the contract comes together. Together, these systems give Peru a major improvement in terms of target detection, first round hit probability, crew protection, and overall battlefield awareness when compared to the T-55. Each of the leading candidates brought a credible set of capabilities. The Abrams offered extensive combat experience, advanced protection, and a mature support system, but it was around 70 tons. A little under 70 tons. The Leopard 2 offered excellent firepower, mobility, and a large international user community. Vehicle ability, acquisition costs, long-term support, and the proposed level of local industrial participation shaped its position in the evaluation. China's VT4 offered a modern export design with the 125mm gun, autoloader, and competitive pricing. Peru's earlier experience with the MBT-2000 also formed part of the institutional background surrounding a renewed Chinese proposal. The K2 package aligned closely with Peru's combined priorities. It offered modern combat performance, a diesel power pack, modern weight for its class, an adjustable suspension, a 3-person crew, an active protection option, financing options, and a detailed path toward manufacturing in Peru. The domestic manufacturing plan gives this acquisition significance beyond the Army's 150 tanks. Hyundai Rotem reportedly proposed a 15-year industrial program supported by approximately $270 million in investment. The plan aims to develop a production facility and source around 30% of components and manufacturing services from Peruvian industry. The production of 104 locally manufactured K2s will depend on the gradual transfer of knowledge and responsibility. Korean-built tanks will arrive as Peruvian crews and maintainers complete training, engineers and production workers learn Hyundai Rotem's standards, local companies will will qualify to help supply chain machining, welding, electrical, hydraulic, and other manufacturing services. The facility can also create a national center for maintenance. This is your massive depot-level maintenance facility. It can handle overhauls, upgrades, and future armored vehicle projects. That capacity gives Peru more control over readiness through the K2's service life and creates a technical workforce that can support additional defense programs. South Korea has used a similar partnership model with other export partners. Poland's K2 program demonstrated Hyundai Rotem's ability to deliver large numbers of tanks from an active production line and develop local plans for local manufacturing. The next phase centers on implementation. Peru and Hyundai Rotem must finalize delivery schedule for financing, tank final configurations, protection packages, ammunition, training, spare parts, support equipment, and production milestones. The first 46 Korean-built K2s will establish Peru's initial operational fleet. During that period, the Army will train units and prepare the bases, transporters, maintenance shops, recovery vehicles, engineering support, and ammunition stocks required for a modern armored fighting force. It'll stock up on that 120mm ammunition of choice. Factory development will prepare Peru to manufacture the following 104 tanks. The pace of that will depend on the transition and the education, construction, supplier qualification, funding, and overall quality control. The complete program is intended to continue in phases until all 150 tanks have been delivered. Peru's selection of the K2 Black Panther represents one of the largest armored modernizations in Latin America, and that's something to say. The Army is moving from a tank designed in the 1950s to a modern platform with advanced sensors, digital communications, an autoloader, adjustable suspension, and contemporary protection systems coupled with active protection systems, depending on which package they choose. Overall, it is a pretty unique capability for Peru to have K2 Black Panthers. They have been tried and beloved by the crews in Poland. The South Koreans have been using them for years, and there's a lot of export partners that are looking at K2 Black Panther. It'll be interesting to see what the production timeline ends up looking like, what the specific configuration of the vehicles ends up being, and I would love to actually go down to Peru one of these days and get my own grubby hands on one of those things. But thanks for watching. Until next time, treat 'em rough, join the tanks.